Oh, today is July the 18th, 2020. My name is Anthony Villanueva. I'm interviewing Michelle Sanchez for Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Ms. Sanchez, this interview will be placed in the Nettie Lee Benson Latin American Collection at the University of Texas, Austin. If there is anything that you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something that you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record your consent. So I will do so by asking you a series of 5 questions. Voces wishes to archive your interview along with any other photographs or other documentation at the Benson Library at the University of Texas. We will retain the copyrights of this interview and any other material you donate to Voces. Do you give Voces consent to archive your interview and your materials at the Benson Library?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant Voces copyrights over the interview and any material you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow us to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
We have questions in the pre-interview form that we have already filled out. We use that information from pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server. Before we send it to Benson, we would have to strip out any contact information for yourself or your family members. So that will not be part of the public record. Your public record would only be accessible by the Benson Library. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available to researchers at Benson?
Yes, I agree.
On some occasion, Voices receives requests from journalists who wish to contact the interview subjects. We will only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone number, email with journalists?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, that completes the preamble. So, Michelle, you want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am 28 years old. I am currently working as a dental assistant. I am the oldest of my siblings. I am Mexican.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I can say for now.
Do you want to say anything about your growing up or your experiences in grammar school, high school, anything like that?
I can say I had a pretty good childhood. Played a lot with my friends, and school was pretty good. I enjoyed always going. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And how did you hear about COVID-19?
The way I kind of found out about it was through pretty much like social media, kind of seeing like random stuff on there, like, oh, COVID this or COVID that. And then little by little, I started to see a little more like China was with contracting the virus and the stuff that was pretty much going on, which just was like, oh, people were dying or people was, getting infected. That it started off first with like some meat, I guess, or whatever. It started with a rat. I don't know. It was just random rumors all over the place.
And do you remember more or less what time of the year, what period of 2020 that was?
I would say it was probably like in February.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in reference to, do you know of anybody that contracted COVID?
Not at the moment, no.
Does any of your friends have acquaintances that contracted COVID?
No, not yet.
Okay. And let's talk about your household. Let's talk about your father. Has your father been impacted by COVID in any way, meaning his job or his income or his freedom to go about doing his daily routine?
Yeah, it was. Well, at that time, when it was coming around, it was winter time, so he was already laid off of work because he's a, laborer. So he didn't get to go to work till pretty much he started going back till June. So
Right.
he was pretty much laid off since like we could say December time, but overall the extension got more longer time to get back to work.
Okay.
hmm
And how about your mom, your mother?
My mom actually, she was pretty stable. She was actually going to work normally. Like if nothing was to happen at her job, they were just pretty much normal, going with the normal hours and everything.
And what kind of work does your mother do?
She works at a general assembly factory.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did did your mother at work?
hmm
Did she mention of any coworkers that were affected by COVID?
Actually, yes. It was, I think, maybe 3 weeks ago that someone came in and said that they had the virus. They came out positive with the COVID.
And what transpired after that announcement
Well,
was made?
pretty much, nothing pretty much changed at the job site. The boss was pretty much just kind of like, just keep wearing your mask. Whatever you guys have to do, just do that. But she took the action of kind of just maintaining that mask on.
Mhm.
And since I work at a dental field, I gave her a level 3 mask instead of a level 1 so she could protect herself a little bit more better. And just gave her advice of just staying 6 feet apart, eat outside, whatever she could do to just kind of stay away from lots of people in the job site.
Did the lady overcome the COVID?
She did, yes. Yeah.
Does your mother feel safe at work?
She seems to feel safe, but I mean, everyone has that doubt all the time, just to always feel safe and just be cautious wherever you are.
Mhm. How about your father? Does he work? He works outdoors.
hmm
Has the COVID impact his ability to do a day's work?
Yeah. Um, Obviously, they're wearing masks either way whenever they're around some type of stuff that they're working with, but now he's pretty much wearing it all day. So of course, in the heat and with a N95 mask or whatever, it's brutal. Um, and then
Does he work indoors or outdoors?
he works outdoors.
Oh,
Yeah, so then as well, like with washing your hands, you can't wash your hands in a public restroom. You have to use whatever you have, hand sanitizer. I mean,
mhm.
it was kind of hard for us to even get hand sanitizer at that time. So we would just try to find wherever we could so he could kind of keep himself protected while being out and out at work.
And you mentioned you had siblings. Um,
Mhm.
do they live at home?
They do.
And has it impacted their lives?
Well, my brother, he's already 18, so he really was not impacted so hard. He was just still kind of going to work whenever he could go back to work. My sister, she is 13, so pretty much her school got cut off in March and never went back. So she never got the opportunity to attend her 8th grade graduation or anything, those phases of life, going on to freshman year. She did get to take online schooling, which was kind of brutal for her, but she overcame it.
And what kind of work does your brother do?
He works at a fast food restaurant and a retail store.
So, and how did he react to the limitations of COVID?
He's a very special person. He gets very anxious when all these things start to happen. So he was very on top of it, always had his mask on, and even would wear gloves when he would go out in public. So, and he still does to this day. So he's kind of pretty on top of it, trying to be careful.
Do you think that it affected him emotionally too?
Yeah, because he didn't get to see his friends a lot. He was just always inside and tried to find a way to distract himself differently. So that was probably a thing for him.
Did any of his friends contract COVID?
No, not that we know of.
And how far away? Tell me a little bit about the office where you work.
hmm
Like,
So I work at a dental office. Huh?
how big is the office? How many office patient offices are there?
We have four operatories.
Okay.
They're pretty much out in the open. There's no walls to divide each operatory, so pretty much all the aerosols are getting just sprayed out everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty small office.
So there's been no modifications to the structure to accommodate COVID?
The only modifications that we have done was they put plexiglass on the front reception area, and then we have to go outside and ask the patient questions and take their temperature before entering into the office.
Okay. Do you feel safe at work?
You know, there's moments where it's 50-50. There's days where I do feel safe because I have the PPE protection on, but then there's those moments where I'm like, I still don't feel safe even if I'm wearing it.
Do you have enough PPE at work?
At the moment, we do, but there could be the time where right now that we've been getting notifications where the rest of the PPE that we ordered is still back ordered, that we will have to start kind of finding a different way to protect ourselves.
So you interact directly with patients.
I do.
Has, to your knowledge, has any patient been to the office that had contracted COVID?
No, not yet that we are aware of.
Has there been any patient that came into your office that was apprehensive about being there, that they were in fear?
Yeah, there's been a couple that, you know, that didn't feel comfortable. Some would even cancel their appointments to just not come in because they weren't sure if they would be safe. So that was a struggle, kind of getting them back in and making them feel comfortable.
And you're bilingual.
Yes.
Has that ability helped you at your job?
It has. It has. There's a couple of Spanish-speaking patients when, you know, they need my help in order to translate. So I'm there for them to help.
And can you tell me how COVID has affected you personally, not with work, but you personally?
Well, it affected me in a way because of just kind of, you know, not having that, not being able to go out, you know, staying inside the whole time, trying to find a different way to stay distracted, you know, because it kind of did get a little too overbearing being with everyone at the house. We all would get kind of tired of each other, you know, just trying to do something else to get away from.
The quarantine effect?
Yeah, that was a big one.
And did your family react the same way to the quarantine?
Yeah. When it was the first times where the rumors were starting about like, oh, you know, we got to start shopping because if we don't start buying food and if we don't start buying water and stuff like that, everything's going to get ran out. So we decided to just, as a family, you know, start just buying stuff, you know, that we could buy to keep downstairs just in case if there was to be that moment where everything was to get shut down, we had food and water. And so we were trying our best to get supplies and be prepared.
Do you feel that with the COVID, the pandemic, that people treat each other differently?
I think so. I do. Yeah. We're more now like, don't get near me, kind of like stay away kind of thing, you know. If you just even hear someone sneeze or cough, you start to kind of second guess like, whoa, you know, could that be it? Maybe I need to stay away. Yeah.
Was your monetary income impacted by COVID?
It was impacted in the beginning because I decided not to go back to work because we didn't have the proper PPE. After that, the boss decided to say that we were going to be on furlough and we could apply for unemployment.
Right.
So then that's what was able to keep me stable with my finances.
Do you know of anybody that lost their job because of COVID?
No.
And in general, do you think that when this pandemic is over, what sense of normality will remain?
Mm, I'm not sure if there's going to be some normality. I mean, there will be a little bit, but I think we're still at ease. We're all just still going to be a little bit off guard, you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you feel that you would continue using a face mask even after the pandemic has settled?
I think I could see myself doing that. Still wearing that mask, even though maybe others aren't,
Mhm.
just for a protection for myself. Yeah, having that safety net.
Yeah. And do you carry hand sanitizer wherever you go?
I do. Yes.
It's become like a normal thing now with people.
Yeah, to have it with me.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Is there anything that you want to share with me
Um,
that we haven't spoken about?
no, not at the moment.
And what do you say to future generations or to people that'll see this tape in the future about your experiences with COVID now?
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting story to share.
Okay.
They're going to be asking lots of questions, and who knows, maybe till that day they're going to have that vaccine or something, you know, and COVID-19 won't be a big thing anymore, you know, so
Okay.
it'll be something to look back forward to and talk about.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle,
Yeah, no
for
problem.
sharing your thoughts, and I hope everything turns out well for you. And we will get back to you when I get the transcripts.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. You have a good day now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.